Hello Year 10 and parents and carers, and welcome to Year 10 Information Evening. I've been incredibly impressed with how you've started your journey in Year 10, and my role as your head of year is to help support you through this time. So we have 2 years together and it's going to be quite a journey, and I really look forward to it. So Year 10, this is the beginning of your journey, and I really like this song, and it's by Eminem, and it really pinpoints exactly what I want to share with you today. If you had one shot or one opportunity to seize everything you ever wanted, you had one moment, would you capture it or let it slip away? So this is your chance now. This is the beginning of your Key Stage 4. This is your fresh start. So I'm going to talk to you about an equation, a bit of maths now. Big P equals little p minus I. I've always thought of this equation as something that really explained how successful we can be. So I'm going to explain it. Performance equals preparation minus interference. So your performance, which is your overall outcome, is how much you really prepare for it minus any interference. So you might think to yourself, well, what are my interferences? There are so many interferences that can stop us performing to where we need to perform. So have a think about your life, where it is now. You're at the start of your new journey, and do you have good time management? Are you doing one thing more than other things? Do you need to prioritise certain things now? Because you've got these 2 years, they are really important, and how can you maximise your potential or your performance during this time? In 700 days, roughly, this is what you're going to be doing. You're going to be opening your results. How exciting. So now it's your decision. You've got 2 years. Think about what it is you can maybe do. So the essentials for success. So how are you going to get there? You need to have a really good attitude. You need to make sure that you are focusing and that you're positive and you know where you're going. You need to be punctual. Because if you're not there, and if you're not there on time, you're going to find that you're going to slip. You need to make sure you've got the right equipment, because being ready to learn is really important. You need to be at school, because actually being in the building and accessing all the learning and being there to ask the questions you need to is going to be really important. You need to look good. You need to make sure your uniform is incredibly well presented, so that you're presenting yourself in a way that means business and that you're ready to learn. You need to make sure you're doing all of your homework. It's really important that you are supporting your classwork at home to make sure you're making the most out of your learning that you're doing in the classroom. And generally, use your lesson time. We've spent so many months not being able to be in a lesson, and now we have this fantastic opportunity back with us. So use your lesson time, ask your questions, okay, and get the feedback you need. So the Year 10 team is made up of myself, who is your head of year, and it's also made up of all of your tutors, which on the screen you'll be able to see where their contact details are. So if you have any problems, you are to go to them and they will help you. They are really important to you because you see them first thing every day. And by going to them and sharing with them how you're feeling, what you're concerned about, what you've achieved, and all of those fantastic things, we can actually support you throughout each day. So it's really important that they have that contact with you and that registration takes place. Some other support that we have around school for you is a school health nurse. Her name's Claire Forno, and she's available and she will come and talk to you. We also have our careers advisor, Teresa Ward, who is also willing to talk to you about your next step, because actually it's not too far until you take that next step. You might be interested in an apprenticeship or sixth form studies, or just wanting to know a bit more about where you're going. And then we've got the school counselling service, which if you need some extra support, we're very happy to help you. So you need to come and see me. Over the next year, we are going to be covering several different topics in PSHE, and you will see a guide as to what we're going to be covering. a variety of different things to help support you throughout your school. So we're asking a few things of you since you've returned to school, and that is our care. We really need to care. So the things we're asking is that you ensure that things are clean by washing your hands and cleaning your desks frequently, which many of the pupils already are doing a fantastic job at that, so thank you already for that. Your areas, you've been asked to stay in your classrooms during lessons, and you've got allocated spaces during your break times, and that is behind our sports hall for Year 10. We've got routines around the school, which is our one-way system, and what is really pleasing is seeing so many Year 10s going around and around our one-way system, and they're actually getting it right, and I'm really proud of them. And then also making sure you've got your correct equipment with you, your stationery, so that we're not sharing and borrowing things, because that's also important, that we look after our own things and we have some accountability. So it's really important with our care that we do care about this, and also we have that responsibility, because you are Key Stage 4 pupils now, and I know you can do this.
Hello, my name is Mr. Lamb. I'm one of the Deputy Head Teachers at Wallingford School. A big part of my role in school is looking at the curriculum and the academic side of school. I know Mrs. Pike has talked a lot about various pastoral aspects and how best to go about things in Year 10, and my focus is going to be on academic work and courses and qualifications. More specifically, I'm going to talk about qualifications and grades to make sure that students and their families know really clearly what the qualifications they're taking are and what grades to expect. I'm also going to talk about the courses that we have, which I'm sure you're aware of already. And finally, I'll talk about the key dates that are really important that families, students are aware of, so they know how Year 10 will progress. Firstly, the qualifications we have available at Wallingford School that students are currently taking in Year 10 are mainly in two camps. So the first camp is GCSEs. GCSEs are mostly linear courses with not too much coursework and exams at the end of the 2 years. The grades available for students in GCSE courses go from 9 to 1. So on screen you can see the comparison between that 9 to 1 scale and what was previously used, which was an A star, a letter system, an A star downwards. Hopefully that's helpful for those of you who are more used to that old style letter system, but we're all working on the number system now. The second type of qualification we have are vocational qualifications, which are often called BTECs. They're graded slightly differently. They're graded from a distinction star down to pass, and there's also a level 1 pass. The reason for that is that our GCSEs and our vocational courses are level 2 qualifications, and occasionally there'll be a student who finds that challenging and we enter them for the level 1 qualification instead. For vocational courses, they aren't linear. They are modular, which means that students complete one module at a time and they store that mark away. And the accumulation of the marks across a number of modules results in the final grade. There's a few bits of information that will come home and will go to students throughout the course of the year to do with the academic work. Targets are based on the idea that students should make progress from primary school to the end of Year 11. We could set our targets so that the amount of progress students are making between the end of primary school, the end of Year 6 and the end of Year 11 is an average amount of progress. We don't. We actually set our targets at a slightly more ambitious level, and the reason for that is that we think we're a strong school, we've got a history of strong academic success. The targets that students receive will be in the top 20% nationally. Targets are relatively fixed. They won't change hugely. The only way they sometimes do change is that they are moved up. If a student's working really, really well and we think they might have a chance of getting the next grade up, then we might move a target up, but we don't move them down. A second piece of data that students will get are predictions. Predictions are the grades that staff think students will get by the end of the 2 years if they continue working in the way they are currently. They use their professional judgment and historic data to work out what grades students are most likely to get, and we inform students and families of those grades. Unlike targets, predictions do change. A student might be performing really, really strongly for a term or a couple of terms, and actually that might result in a prediction going up. Similarly, if a student isn't quite finding things as easy or isn't doing quite as well, a prediction might go down slightly. Finally, you'll also get some data to do with mock results. So both in Year 10 and in Year 11, students will sit mock exams. Those are examinations that will take place in formal conditions in an exam hall with invigilators, and it's an opportunity for students to see what it's like to sit the real exams and for staff to gauge how students might cope under those conditions. The next thing I want to talk to you about are courses. So you know that there's a group of qualifications that all students will take. All students will take English, Maths and Science GCSEs. All students will also take core PE as part of their curriculum every week. There's another set of qualifications which I'm sure you'll be familiar with, they're options. And it's just a reminder of the range that we've had available that students have picked. My hope is that our Year 10 students who have already started the year are on courses which they're enjoying, they're engaged with, and they're really pleased that they chose those courses. Finally, I want to talk to you about some important dates that will come up during Year 10. So the first thing to talk about are progress reports, which will come home 3 times a year. The second thing to mention are the mock exams, which will take place in around March time, and the results will be sent home in April. Finally, there'll be an opportunity to speak to teachers in school about the progress that students are making. That will take place in February. I'd like to wish all our Year 10s the best of luck this year, and I hope you make the most of all the opportunities available.